Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. This mic has been acting up all this weekend, but it shows that there's some sound coming through. But let's see who's here. Good morning, good morning. Hey, Nancy Gus. Hello, Miss Crystal Lewis. Hey, Vicky. What are we all doing this Easter morning? Hi, Jenny, or Jeannie. Sorry if I said it wrong. Hey, Dale. What time is it there, Dale? Hey, Kim. Hi, Paula. We also got, let's see. Okay, thank you, Jeannie. Is it Jeannie or Jenny? Sorry if I pronounced it wrong. Okay, what do we got going today? Well, it is Easter, so I figured there's not going to be a whole ton of people either going on live on YouTube, or there might be a small crowd today, but that's okay. We can all keep each other company today. Paula Johnson, hello there. You're making 300 flying geese. Well, good luck with that. Speaking of which, I need to get moving on my flying geese project as well. Let's see. Okay. I did want to actually explain something. I'm still kind of learning the software in terms of how to manipulate all of these different cameras while going on live. So I did want to point out that, well, if you're familiar with Sobecca's channel, she has this thing where you do the exclamation and you can type in a command. I did set up something a little bit similar to that. So, in which, if I can remember what it was, here we go. If you type in exclamation and instructions, let's see if this works. Yep, it does. Okay, so if, as the chatbot just kind of indicated, if you type in exclamation commands, it'll give you a list of set of instructions that you can type into the chat box, and it will give you some detailed information about the live today. So for example, if I do, let's just run the command for example. Let's see, commands. And it's going to come up with a list of commands that we do have set up. So if you want to find out what today's project is, you can do exclamation project. If there is a giveaway, in which there is a giveaway for today, you can type in exclamation giveaway. You'll find out what the giveaway is. And I do have the list of supplies. It's not much supplies, but if you type in exclamation supplies, it'll give you the full list of supplies of stuff that I'm using for today's project. So, and you can run these commands at will at any time during this live session. Now, if you're catching the replay, these commands will not work. So don't try it if you're watching the replay. So there you go, Lisa. You got the idea. Okay, and what is the giveaway for today? Well, let me switch cameras here for a second. So I found this charm pack. I thought I only had one. Well, I purchased it a while back ago when I was at Soya Quilting in Las Vegas at their retail store. And I thought I only bought one, but apparently I may have bought two. So this fabric line is from Riley Blake. It's called Anne of Green Gables. And if you look at the back here, you can kind of see what the fabric line looks like. It's actually a very nice and pretty line. So it's a charm pack, and I'll be giving this away. So I'll give you more details as later on during today's session as to how to enter the giveaway. Okay, so let's get started with today's project. So I pulled out some, well, as I was cleaning my sewing room, and I'm still organizing a lot of it, I did find that I had a whole bunch of fat quarters that I totally forgot about that were tucked away in a drawer. So I'm going to be using a fat quarter bundle for today's project. Now, in the future, what I will do is I will put a description, or in the description to the live, I will put down a list of materials and supplies that I'm going to be using, so that if in case you want to sew along with me on the live, you can have all of those things all prepped up and ready. But since I didn't do that this time, I'm actually going to start everything from scratch here today. So even the cutting we'll do live today. Hey, Barbara. Okay, so if you type in the command exclamation supplies, you'll see that I'm going to be using 5 1.5 inch strips. Now you'll need again, I'm going to be cutting those 1.5 inch strips from these fat quarters here. And quite honestly, these are not my favorite colors, but I wanted to just use it up anyway. So I figured today would be a good opportunity to do that. And in order to make one block, you are going to need about half or 22 inches in length. Okay, so we're going to be cutting 1.5 inch strips off of these fat quarters. Now, if you are one of those, and I know a number of people are doing this, where they're making multiple blocks, you're probably going to want to cut your strips 1.5 inches wide by the entire length of the entire width of the fabric. But I'm only going to be making one block today. So for one block, you'll need at least 22 inches, which is about the fat quarter size. Okay. So if in case you want to sew along with me today, go ahead and quickly grab your fabrics. Let's cut them down, and we'll just sit here and chat for a little while with everybody while you do that. Okay. Let's see who else came in. So is everybody saying they like the charm pack? Well, stay tuned because I'm giving that one away. So, hey Heather, good morning or good afternoon wherever you are. So, well, beautiful fabric, Eric. Well, thank you, Dale. It's not really my color palette, but it does somehow kind of go together. Hi, Nicola. So, Crystal, Eric, is that a batik? No, it's not a batik. These are just regular quilting cottons that, you know, I actually got this fat quarter bundle from Walmart years ago. And funny story to that was, back when I first started sewing, when I didn't know any better, I thought I actually thought a fat quarter bundle was another way of saying a yard cut. So, boy, was I surprised to actually find out that a whole yard is 36 inches. So I kept working on these projects that said yard cut, and I would actually just have a fat quarter bundle, and I was wondering why I would always come up short with my fabrics. Lo and behold, a whole yard is totally different from a fat quarter. But you live and you learn. Hi, Christine. Hi, Felice. Hi, Linda. Okay, so for those of you who are just coming in again, what you can do is if you type in exclamation command, that'll give you a list of commands that you can type into the chat, and you can kind of get caught up with certain things. Or if you want to type in exclamation supplies, that'll give you a list of supplies of the project that we'll be doing here today. Happy Easter, Miss Melissa LePage. How are you this morning or this afternoon, wherever you may be? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I am going to take each of these fat quarters and just cut it one at a time here. And I need the bigger ruler at this time, so take that. Okay. So I'm gonna cut some 1.5 inch strips off of this. Now, I already did a fresh cut here, so which is why you don't see me cutting off or squaring up the fabric there. But I'm gonna do a 1.5 inch strip. I'm just going to need one. I'll probably save this for a rainy day, or I might cut some squares off of this leftover. Okay, and let's cut a 1.5 inch strip off of here. And again, I had already kind of squared up the fabric here, so I don't necessarily have to do a fresh cut there. AccuQuilt to the rescue. Yes, Marcella. In fact, why didn't I think of that? Well, then again, I actually wanted to cut the fabric live today with everybody, just in case people are wanting to sew along with me. So, okay. Another 1.5 inch strip. Now these are 5. We're going to need 5 of them. Oop, I didn't quite get it there. Okay. That was a bad cut job, but that's not going to matter. Hello, Pieces, Love, and Quilting. Okay, one more, or actually 2 more, which is the side that I squared up. It's this side. So is anyone having a barbecue or family gathering today? It's just after 1 in Lexington, Kentucky. Wow. Okay, it is, let's see, 10:20 here in Los Angeles. I figure a lot of people would be at church, being that it is Easter. last strip. Oh, okay, CJ, thank you. You'll have to remind me a couple of times because I'm horrible with remembering people's names, especially on YouTube here. So I do apologize for that in advance. We are having a gloomy day and expecting more snow here. Well, Crystal, you can send some of that snow to Southern California. It's not like we can't use the rain here. Or the water, I should say. Okay, sorry guys, let me get myself a little bit situated here. Okay, so the units that we're making are gonna look something like this. Okay, basically we're gonna be sewing a strip set. We're gonna be making squares out of them. We'll make a half square triangle and we're gonna make sure that the fabrics match up. And when you put them together, you'll kind of get this effect where it's a square in a square in a square, but we're using strip sets. Now, some people call this block Mirage. Some people, I don't know, there's all sorts of names for this block. So I'm just calling the Stripset Squared Squared Square. So my small family is as gathered as we're gonna get. We're all getting over freaking cold. Oh, sorry to hear that, Heather. But not to Kansas where I'm done with the snow. You know, guys, for those of you who don't know, I grew up in Hawaii. And yes, Hawaii does have snow high on top of the mountain, but I've never seen snow. I would be totally thrilled if I actually get to make my first snow angel. I don't care if I'm going to be all wet or if I'm lying on the ground. I look forward to the day when that happens. So is it similar to a bento box? You know, Crystal, I think it is. In which the bento box is, the construction of the bento box is a little different in that you do pieces of it. Because I believe in a bento box you actually cut a square and then you cut rectangles. But this time we're actually gonna be just sewing a strip set. And you'll see the difference. It looks very similar though. Shady Susan says, I'm baking a ham and sweet potato for dinner. Shady Susan, I'm coming over. So there's lots of snow in Upper Michigan. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna sew a strip set out of these 5 1.5 inch strips. And I'm gonna arrange it just so that we do have some alternating or some color variety here. I didn't want to put it so that all the same colors are next to each other like this, because these two fabrics to me are a little too similar. So I'm gonna break it up by doing this green color, then this brownish color, brownish yellow gold color, then another green colored one, then the brown, and end up with the green. Okay. Okay, so let's start sewing my strip sets here. And if the camera is shaking, I apologize for that. I'll try and go a little slower here so that the table doesn't rock, but sometimes when I floor it, the image starts shaking, so I believe this might not be that bad. Okay. Okay, and then in between some of the sewing, I'm going to chain piece in some 4 patches because I need a lot of them for a particular project that I'm doing. I'll spin the seam later. Having a lazy day. Went for a drive around the lakes and ocean views near the home with brothers and 90-year-old mom. Wow. Hi, Linda Faust. Happy Easter. Okay, let's sew in this strip set. Oh, right sides together. That would have been bad if I put wrong sides or sewed it on wrong. But you all know I've been known to do that. Okay. Sew on a 1/4-inch seam. Says, thank you, Vicky. She's reminding everybody to give a thumbs up. I would love it. Says, okay, Eric, how long have you been into sewing? Oh, geez, when did I start? I started sewing, well, actually, okay, long story is that when I was younger, my grandmother had a treadle machine. And as a form of punishment, when I didn't want to listen to her, she would actually make me operate the foot pedal. And so she would be sewing, I would be running the foot pedal, and that was my punishment. So I got exposed to sewing in a negative way very early on. And when I reached middle school, about 7th or the 8th grade, we still had a home economics class, and yes, every student had to take home economics, and which we were actually sewing on a treadle machine, believe it or not. And so I kind of knew how to sew, but I never actually started taking it seriously until maybe about 2000 and gosh, 2011. That's when I wanted to actually learn how to sew because I was interested in making my own pants. And because I do have a regular 9 to 5 job, it wasn't like I could sign up for sewing classes because most of those sewing classes were during the day. So I started looking at tutorials online, and lo and behold, I type in how to sew, and guess who comes up? Some woman by the name of Jenny Doan, who was teaching people how to quilt. Now, I knew that quilting and sewing pants are not exactly the same thing, but I figured, okay, well, at least I'm sewing something. So that's when I started to learn how to quilt or put quilts together. And since then, never looked back. And I always, whenever I tell that story, I always end it by saying, no, I never did sew those pants. So that's my quilting journey. Hello, Miss Around to It, or Shirley, I should say. Happy Easter. Oops, my strip set went off a little bit. I should cut it off before. Let's cut that. And I'm just gonna sew a few 2.5-inch squares here. Okay. And let's see, I'll finger press this for now. I do find that whenever I do strip set projects, it is beneficial to actually press while I'm sewing. So I'm actually going to press this down. So Crystal Lewis, what was your first project you made out of school? I did actually, my first sewing project when I was in 8th grade or taking that home economics class, it was actually a drawstring bag in which I could make the bag, but I could never like open and close it. So I must have, I think the opening where the string is supposed to go was a little too tight. Actually, I didn't even do it right because when I top stitched it, I actually had the string inside that opening in which you're not supposed to put the string there. So I accidentally sewed the string to the bag permanently. Yeah. That was my first mistake. So, but the teacher actually still gave me a decent grade on there because my seams were okay, other than me making that one error of sewing the drawstring to the bag itself. But she was like, wow, you're the first male sewer that did this project and did a pretty good job. So she said she had to give me a passing grade for it, which I was all proud of myself, but I could never use the bag. Dale Ramsey says, I learned to sew on a treadle machine from my grandmother. Still have it today. Yeah, treadle machines are wonderful because they can last a long time. And if you have a mechanical one and not an electrical one, that's a keepsake. well, at least I would consider it a keepsake. Hey, Emily. Hey, quilting wife. Miss Tiffany of Tiffany's Quilting Life is here. Happy Easter. Saz. Okay, so for those of you who are just coming in, again, if you are familiar with Sobecca's channel, she does have a list of commands that you can run. And I set up something kind of similar to that. And so what you can do is, if in the chat box you want to type in exclamation instruction, let's see. Whoops. Never do anything with the wireless keyboard because it's not worth it, since sometimes it'll connect and sometimes it does not. That's just me ranting. Okay, let's see if it works now. Oh, plural. Okay, so what I did there was I typed in the chat box exclamation commands, and it'll give you a list of commands that you can run. Everything from the supplies that I'm using is to, or the the project that we're doing today. And you can run it at any time during this live session. Now again, if you are catching the replay of this, those chat commands are not going to work. Okay. Speaking of which, let's get this going. And so if you did in fact come in, or if you didn't catch this, I am going to be giving away this charm pack. It is a Anne of Green Gables charm pack from Riley Blake. And you can kind of see the fabrics there. Okay, so I am going to open the giveaway, in which then you can type in exclamation giveaway to get a chance to, whoops. It's not, sorry, I know the chatbot says it's a wreath, but it's not the wreath. It's actually this charm pack here, which I forgot to change that. And I'm not sure why it's saying it's the wreath. Okay, but if you want to enter in the giveaway, just do exclamation enter, and you'll get a ticket to enter into this giveaway. And I can already see some people are entering in, so enter away. Okay, now you do have to remain on the live when we announce the winner, because I will be asking for your information, or give you instructions to send me the information. The last time we actually did a giveaway, the person left, in which it was a little bit of a struggle to actually get their information, so I'm not gonna do that again. Okay. Now, if you didn't catch this, okay, we're making a strip set out of 1.5 inch strips. I had 5 fat quarter sizes, and I just cut a 1.5 inch strip off of each one of those, and we're making a strip set here. If you are one of those, and well, if you cut your strip set, or your strips length, to about 22 inches, that is going to be about enough to make one block. So if you are making multiple blocks, instead of using a fat quarter, I would cut it the entire width of the full fabric, which should be about 40 to 42 inches. Okay, but I'm only making one block today, so I just used up some fat quarters. And right now I'm just sewing my strip set. it off. Okay, I'm just sewing some 2.5-inch squares together. I'm actually using it as a leader and ender project. But these, if you see me grabbing 2.5-inch squares, just know that it has nothing to do with the project for today. And again, I'm sorry. I do see that the camera is shaking a little bit every time I operate the machine, so I do apologize for that. Okay. And I'm just going to sew onto a 2.5-inch square. And let's see, I'm going to press the seams. So I'm just going to press these, right now I'm kind of finger pressing these down. Normally on a strip set like this, I would actually take each, after I'm done sewing each strip, I would take it to the iron. I just find for me that I get a better strip out of that. Okay, so we got it, all our strips sewn together. I'm going to just hit this with the iron real quick. Which, because I created my nest here, all I got to do is turn. Ooh. Okay. Oops. Oh, this iron is piping hot. I love it. Lots of steam coming out. Wow. Okay. And we are back. So here's a quick recap for those who came in late. Okay, so I got 5 1.5-inch strips all here sewn together. I did go ahead and press the seam allowances in one direction, all within the same direction here. And the unit that we're making is basically this here, in which we're going to make 4 of these. So we'll cut the strip set down into a square. We'll sew the square into half square triangles using the 2 at a time half square triangle method. And then we'll lay it out so that all 4 of these squares will come to kind of make a square within a square within a square. Okay. So if I sewed this on correctly, this should be 5.5 inches, in which it's a little bit short. It's about 5 1/4 1/2. Okay. And I'm not sure why. Maybe I cut my strips to the wrong length. Well, let's see. This should be 1 1/4. Yep, that is. Then this should be a 1 inch. Yep. 1 inch there, 1 inch there. Huh. And then 1 1/4. Okay. It should have been 5.5 inches though. Probably because my 1/4 inch is a little bit off, but it doesn't show it. Oh well. Okay, we're going to just pretend that it is a 5.5 inch square. Okay, so I'm going to trim off, these are my selvage edges here. I'm just going to trim it off there. Hi, Teresa Louise. Good morning, Terry. And for those that are just coming in, okay, so I actually took my entire strip set and folded it in half. Now it's supposed to be a 5.5 inches wide. It's a little short, but I'm gonna just treat it as though it is 5.5 inches, in which then I will grab my larger ruler and I'm gonna make 5.5 inch squares out of this. Okay, and we're gonna need 4 of them. Do I have enough? I might not have enough here, so I might need to actually make another strip set. Hold on. Let's see. That's 5.5. No. Okay, so scratch that. We'll make it to it is 5.5. Okay, we're gonna need another strip set then. Somehow when I did my test block, it worked out so that I could actually just do 1 strip set, but this time we need 2. Okay. Let's see. Hey, Joyce Hernandez. Good afternoon, 100 Proof Quilter. So I was just over at Sylvia. She was sharing what you sent. Okay. Okay, so we cut these to 5.5 inch squares. I'm gonna draw my diagonal line from corner to corner here. And when you put your strip sets together, right sides together, just make sure that you're matching the same fabrics toward each other. Now you could flip-flop it the other way if that's the look that you want to go for. But I'm going to keep the same fabrics together. Hey, Darlene Crosby. And I'm just sewing a 1/4 inch away from that center line using the 2 at a time half square triangle method. I'm going to just turn that around. And sew right back down the other side. And my thread broke. Did I run out of bobbin? Yep, ran out of bobbin. So I was air sewing. Gosh darn it. Okay, good thing I wound an extra bobbin. Uno momento, por favor, when I do some maintenance work here. So here's my bobbin, extra bobbin there. Make sure it's snapped in. And let's draw up my string, or bobbin thread, I should say. There we go. Cut that. And we shall floss this through. Let's see. Continue sewing on from here down. Okay, there we go. I'll back stitch a little bit since, there we go. And this time I'm just going to sew off onto a little piece of scrap there, and I'll cut my threads. Nothing like doing a project with air sewing. Yep. Haven't we all done that once in a while? Good thing I caught it early. Okay, so, and again, these 2.5 inch squares, I'm just making a 4 patch here. This has nothing to do with the project at hand. I just needed a leader and ender thing to go off of. Okay. Whoop. Throw that one away. Okay. So, I had my strip set. Again, press the seam allowances all to one direction. I cut, since I know that this should have been 5.5 inches wide, I'll cut it into a 5.5 inch square here. And then I took that 5.5 inch square, marked a diagonal line, made sure that the fabrics actually, when I put them right sides together, that they're actually the same fabric here. Draw the diagonal line, made 2 at a time half square triangles. Now we're going to cut this in half. And what we're going to get is a unit that looks like that. Okay. Now, I'm not going to, well, normally I would square up this half square triangle. Yeah, well, let's do it. Okay, so we'll get 2 units here, and I'm just kind of finger pressing the seam allowance to one side for now. Okay, now I don't have enough to actually make another block. Well, I can do one, but I need a little bit of extra. Okay, looks like I have to make another strip set because for whatever reason, my test block, when I did it, it was long enough to actually make 2 sets of these. But when things go live, things go wrong. So you just have to be ready. So let's make another strip set, and it'll be a good replay for everybody that joined in late. But let's see for a second. Okay, so we got 11 minutes remaining on the giveaway here. Again, you can type in !enter if you want a chance to win the Anna Green Gables Charm Pack. Hey, Vivian. Vivian Calvi is here. Happy Easter. And so you came in at a good time, Vivian, because, well, I miscalculated something, and so now we got to make a whole nother strip set. Okay, so pulling back the fabrics again. Excuse me. I'm going to cut another 1.5 inch strip off of each of these, and this time I am going to layer it. So that I can just cut multiples at the same time here. Why is it when I put it down, it's not lining up correctly? There we go. Get out the big boy. And we're cutting a 1.5 inch strip. One more. Ooh, little off there. Cut that. Well, it's a good thing I chose a quick and easy block to do on this live because, yeah, we would be on here forever if I had to redo it all over again. Which I'm sure some of you wouldn't mind. And let's move this out of the way for a second. And let's get the second strips. And no, that's not the cut edge. That is. Okay, so let's turn that around. And we'll line up the fabric. How many layers of fabric do you guys normally cut through? I try not to go through more than 4, but I know some can go up to 8. I was joining and backing and didn't realize I was air sewing them. I added it wrong sides together. I had to get the divorce lawyer out. Okay, so I'm gonna cut through 6 layers here. These these were fat quarter size, and I just folded them in half. So I can cut through all of this. Let me shift this down a little bit more. 1.5 inch strip. It did shift a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, so I'll take the rest of these, save this up for a rainy day, or maybe I'll cut 2.5 inch strips later on. Put my ruler back. And I want to make sure that I do get the strip set arranged in the correct order here so that it'll match to what I have. So it's there. It's this one, then this one, then leaf, then no leaf, then this, and then this. Okay. So I shall leave that there for reference. And let's start sewing strip sets again. Doo-doo-doo. So Tiffany says that she will cut between 6 to 8 or 10. Wow, that's a lot of layers. Tiffany, are you using a 60 millimeter or 45 when you do that? Nancy Gus says that she cuts through 4 layers. I always end up with wonky pieces if I do more. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I don't do more. I usually don't do more than 4. 6 sometimes if I know that it's good quality fabric or that I pressed it down flat. But I tend to, if I go 8 layers, the ruler starts shifting and I start getting some really wonky cuts, which is why I don't tend to do that many layers. Or I will do the thing that Donna Jordan does where she'll kind of stack them, like put one here, then kind of stagger it and put the next fabric here. Accurately, I can cut through 2 layers, inaccurately through 6. there it is. Where did my chain piece go? Okay, so on this one we press towards the, we pressed it upwards. So I'm gonna do that. Okay, I just finger press this. Tiffany says she uses a 60 millimeter, but I have done it with a fresh 45 millimeter blade. You know, I do know some quilters that only use 45 millimeter blades, and they can cut through like, yeah, 8 or 10 layers of fabric with no problem. But I do notice though that they are pressing down really hard when they're using only a 45 millimeter. So, which is why I kind of asked that question. Okay, it's these two. This one was on the top. Did I sew it on backwards? Maybe I did. Oh well. Let's get my little 2.5 inch square project here, leader and ender thing going on. Let's get this unit off, because I think, and what is going on? Oh, my bobbin thread broke again. Okay. Let me fix the bobbin thread again. It snapped. You know, I love this industrial machine when it works, but when it goes on strike, like right now, it's a pain in the butt. Okay, generally speaking, I don't have issues with this machine. It's a great machine, I should say. But sometimes, once in a while, it just doesn't want to operate correctly, like today. And it usually wants to act up when I'm in a rush. Okay, so got that situation all done. And it didn't finish sewing all the way through the strip because the string snapped. Okay, so get that, put that down, start sewing this. That small short segment there, you can cut that, finger press this back. And I will do another ender project here. Okay, now I finally got it. Cut the thread there. Then this goes, yep, so we're pressing it this way. Batiks I could cut 12 layers because they're thin and waxy texture. That helps. Okay. 12 layers. I guess I could see that about a boutique. Okay, now this one is supposed to go that way. This goes like that. Yeah, and then we'll sew these together. Put that there for now. Maybe I should have labeled this the confusion block, because I'm getting myself confused. Then again, I know a lot of people have mentioned that they were getting themselves confused when they made their bar jello. Let me pull this off for a second. I'll cut the thread there. The bobbin is telling me it's time to dance. Well, thank you, Robin. Well, it's too bad my neighbors are not here because they always play great music at their parties. But well, since the fire incident happened, they're no longer there. Oddly enough, though, they didn't take the dog, in which I'm wondering why the dog is still there. I hope they just didn't abandon the dog. Okay, so looks like the chatbot is not taking any more entries. Yep, the time has run out. So let's see. Okay, it's time to pick a winner on this. So let's see who the chatbot is gonna pick. Well, congratulations, My Quilt Projects. So, My Quilt Projects, are you still in the chat? If you are here in the chat, please type in something in the chat box. We'll give it a couple minutes for them to respond. And I was supposed to, wait, how am I pressing this? Now I'm all confused. Okay, so this one was supposed to go up toward the brown. Hi, Dorlin. It's a live streaming thing. Always have thread breaks on camera, but off camera nothing weird happens. Isn't that always the case, Tiffany? Anything that can go wrong on a live usually does. Sass. I bet they just left the dog. Call someone, poor dog. I don't hear the dog barking, so maybe the dog is not there. But yesterday I did notice that it was there. Okay, My Quilt Projects. Please send me an email or if you're part of the Treasure Heart Creations Facebook group, you can also send me a message there. But let me type in an email address where you can send me your mailing information. Okay, so congratulations again. You won this Anne of Green Gables charm pack here. Send me an email to that email address that the chatbot just put on, or that I just typed in actually, and I'll get this shipped out to you as soon as possible. So congratulations. Well, now you can't say that because you just won something. Okay, last strip. Just so on. Okay. Yeah, the last time I did a giveaway on a live, the person had left, and instead of sending me the email, or they did in fact catch the replay, and ooh, that didn't sound good. I had asked them to actually send me the email to the for their address, but they actually ended up posting a comment with their address, in which I fortunately caught it down, or caught it right away. But they didn't realize that the comments that they put on YouTube was actually made public, so they didn't realize that for some time there, everybody knew where this person lived. So fortunately, I was able to catch that and stop it. And something doesn't sound right. I'll check it after I get this scene done. Yep. Okay, I got a thread break again. What is going on with this machine? Boy, oh boy. When it wants to be stubborn and not work, it wants to be stubborn and not work. Maybe you just got a bad bobbin. No, tension is good. But my bobbin thread just keeps breaking on me. Cut that for now. Pull up the thread. Okay, now it sounds fine. Let's see how long this will last. Knock on fake wood that it will last. Okay, let's see. Oh, and I just broke my thread. Oh gosh. Geez, when things go wrong, it's like all hell broke loose. Well, my thread just broke loose now, but oh boy. Gotta rethread my needle. One thing about industrial machines is I wish they would have an automatic needle threader, because My eyes are getting bad that I can barely even see that hole. Did I get it? Did I get it? Nope. There, got it now. Let's continue sewing. There we go. Okay. Grab a 2.5 inch square. There we go. Okay. And we'll finger press this one back for now. Dale Ramsey says, I bet Eric will check on the dog. You know, I'm kind of more or less concerned if the dog is really there. Maybe I will go and check. So, everybody's saying congratulations to our winner of the giveaway. And she was busy in the zone sewing. So, yeah, once you get in that zone, don't leave it. You never want to leave that zone. So, okay, so thank you. I will check for your email. And then hopefully it won't go into the spam folder. Actually, I should do that while we're on here now, just to confirm that I did get it. Let's see. Doesn't look like it came through just yet, so I'll check it in a couple minutes and then confirm. Paula Johnson, my mids are kicking my rear, so gotta go. Bye, Paula. Or she probably left by now, but bye, Paula. Okay, let's press this real quick. I have my little iron set up here. Okay. So we got that pressed. And let's see, I'll just cut. This better be 5.5. Close enough. It's weird. Sometimes it does come out 5.5, sometimes it doesn't. Go figure. Now, probably because I didn't press it that great, but who cares at this point? Okay, so we're gonna square this off. I need a bigger ruler. Again, technically, if everything is perfect, in a perfect world, this would be a 5.5, or this would be 5.5 inches wide. It's a little bit off. But I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to pretend that it is 5.5 inches wide. If I were to actually give this a better pressing, or press the seam allowances better, it would probably end up being 5.5 inches. But I kind of just did a quick swipe of the iron there. Okay, and I'm just gonna trim off these selvage edges here. Okay. Then I'm gonna cut 2 5.5-inch squares. In which it's actually, did I cut it straight? There. And then save these for later. I'll draw my, okay, which way did I go? So this was at the top. Yep. And I will draw my diagonal line from there down to the bottom. Oh, I almost draw it wrong side. Okay, so Tiffany made her Bargello blocks. Good job on that. Let's see. Thank you, Eric. Great seeing you. And hello, Tiffany and Quilties in Life. Hello, Marcella Johnson. Okay. Now, so I drew a line diagonally from corner to corner. Now I'm also going to check to see that yes, the fabrics, the same fabrics are matched up, and we're going to do the 2 at a time half square triangles. Cue the music. 2 at a time half square triangles. 2 at a time half square triangles. Trying not to sew my finger. Down the line, 2 at a time, half square triangles. 2 at a time, half square triangles. Draw the line, make it 2 at a time. 2 at a time, half square triangles. And we'll flip this around. Go down the other way. Two at a time, half square triangles. Two at a time, half square triangles. Draw the line, make it two at a time. Okay. Now, Tiffany's playing with the hot glue gun. What are you doing, girl? And we'll cut these two half square triangles in half right on the line. And there's our unit. There's the other unit. There's the other two. Okay. Now we'll give all of these units a good pressing, and then we'll sew it all together. We'll make our block. So these are already pressed down. It's these two that I need to go and press. Actually, this one can use a better pressing, so yeah. Let's get these down. Go back to the ironing board here. And last one. Okay, so we're back. And let's lay out our block again. Actually, first of all, let's cut these dog ears off. Oh, 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 you cut that ear. Cut this one down. Just stinks to know the eye seems to get smaller to thread. 100-proof quilter. That song is going to be stuck in my head all day. Well, you're welcome. Yep. Okay. Tiffany's pretending to know how to craft. Girl, don't worry, I can teach you. Okay, so there's our block. We're gonna sew these two together, right sides together, and because I didn't press them really good, I'm just gonna flip the seam back that way so that I can nest it. Actually, let me hit it with the iron. So I just took it back to the iron, pressed the seam the opposite way so that when I put these two together, that diagonal seam will nicely be nested, And try your best at matching the points there on each of the strips. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, this is one of those blocks where if these seams don't end up nesting, it is kind of noticeable. So, but you know me, perfection's overrated, as what I always say. So, but I try to get close enough. Close enough is good enough for me. Yep. There we go. Let's get sewing. Eric, you're such a pleasure to watch. Oh, thank you, Dale. Hot glue on all over my fingertips. Ow. Hope you didn't burn your fingertips. Okay, and same thing with this. I'm just going to hit it with the iron real quick so I can flip this seam back the other way. I don't know if you heard that, but my iron squeaked. So I guess I have my own version of squeak. Oh, the thread broke. I didn't even cut it. Oh well. Okay, so there's the top half. Press that over. And press it over to the right, or to my right. And we'll sew. I'm going to do a quick 4-patch here so I can get this unit off. And I think the bobbin is, something is going on with the bobbin. Let me check it one more time. And yep, something got caught. Lots of mechanical problems today. Okay. Always unalive. So we'll press this one to the left. Now that was my iron Dale. That was making those squeaky sounds. cheap $29.95 iron from Walmart that lasted me years. I still use it. Okay, last seam. Seam flipped over. Just sew on this piece of scrap here. Da 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 da! The final reveal. Okay. There's a lot of seams in here, so we're going to definitely press this down flat, but there's your block. All blocks trimmed and squared up. Next week I will make the top. Now to make tacos. Well, give me some, Kim. Even though I'm not supposed to eat tortillas. Okay, so here's our block. Let me press this down really quick. Get it flat. It is kind of wonky. Here's our block. And let's see, I know somebody's going to ask. So my block is ending up to be 9.5. Let's see, well, it is a bit wonky because look at this. That seems off right there, but it should be 9.5. Yep. So if you're at 9.5, you're good. If you're at 10 inches, you're also good. Okay. Is this a random block or 35252? I'm lost. Okay, actually, Tiffany, this week is the week where I do the block live. I'm starting to actually choose 1 week out of the month to sew the block live. This time around, I did not put the supplies list ahead of time, which is why you saw me cut the fabric on live. But in the future, I'll be sure to actually put the fabric requirements and the sizes, the cut sizes on live, so that if in case you want to sew along with me on the live, you can do so. Okay, but yes, this is week number the block for week number 38. I'm calling it Stripset Squared Squared Squared, because it's a square within a square within another square and another square, but you make this out of a strip set. Now someone asked, I forgot who it was early on, but they were asking, is it like a bento box? It looks like a bento box quilt block, but the way you construct it is a little differently, using in that I used strip sets instead of cutting the individual pieces. I've seen other people, most of the time when you do a bento box, you cut the individual pieces out. Yeah, I didn't want to do that, so I just said, okay, we'll make a strip set out of it and call it something different. So, but it looks kind of similar to what a bento box quilt block looks like. So the fabric was a great choice for that block. Looks like tile. Well, thank you, Christine. Okay, Phyllis C says, did you name the block? Well, I'm just call it the Stripset Squared Squared Squared. I don't know if that's the actual name of the block. I do know for a fact that this unit here, some people, there is a quilt pattern out there that's called Mirage, in which I know Soya Quilting did that pattern. It's basically the same pattern or same block here. I'm just calling it something different. I used 1.5 inch strips to construct this block. You can do it with basically any size strip that you want to. Just know that the larger size strip that you use, the bigger your block is going to grow. So most of the time when I do see quilting tutorials about doing, especially the Mirage quilt, a lot of them are using 2.5 inch strips because they're using a whole jelly roll. So I just wanted to use 1.5 inch strips because I didn't want a humongous 12 inch or 12.5 inch block, so I just decided to go with a smaller strip size. Okay, so, well, thank you, Dale. I'll just bug you tomorrow about it since I just did the Bargello today. Well, actually, you'll probably end up calling me right after this. Okay, so that is it for this week's live chat. Thank you guys for staying on for almost 2 hours here. Had a little bit of had a couple bit of snags, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Post pictures online in the Treasure Heart Creations Facebook group. Let me see what your blocks look like. And I will be mailing the charm pack out to you. And let me just see if the email came through. If not, I will have to get a hold of you somehow again. Okay, my quilting project, if you don't hear from me by the end of today, try and send your email again because I don't see it coming through. Let me make sure I actually gave you the right address. Yep, I did. Okay. My quilting project, yes, I am on Instagram. You can reach me at Treasure Heart Creations. I believe it's at. Okay, it's nap time for Tiffany. All right, girl. Well, happy Easter, everyone. And again, thank you guys for joining me live. And I'll see you next time.